The Pedia. General Studies Video Lectures. Notes and Practice. Question sets for engineering service examination, and other conducted examinations. In this video we had discussed a subtopic of energy and environment, which is Environment Impact Assessment. 10. Forecasting environmental changes. ESE should be able to, among others, predict the nature and extent of the impact of human activities on the environment. Table below gives a list of human-induced environmental changes, which can be either benign or malignant to the environment. Environmental changes. Medium changes and rates of change in soil quality, for example, depth, structure, fertility, degree of salinization or acidification, etc. Stability, area of arable land, air quality, the climatic elements, water quantity, quality, seasonability, area of human-made lakes, extent of irrigation canals, biota abundance/scarcity of species or genetic resources, extent of crops, ecosystems, vegetation and forests, diversity of species, extent of provision of nesting grounds, etc. for migratory species, abundance/scarcity of pests and disease organisms. Of importance here are not only estimates of changes in environmental quality but also estimates of rate of change. A slow change may be acceptable, especially if it leads to a new stability, whereas rapid change or large fluctuations may place intolerable burdens on ecosystems. Of equal or perhaps greater importance is the degree of irreversibility of an environmental change, which will be either absolute, as in the extinction of a species, or partly absolute in that the situation can only be reversed over long periods of time or with unacceptable expenditures of money and energy, as in the case of catastrophic erosion. Typically contains information on the following three areas, as they relate to environmental effects. 1. A determination of the initial reference state. 2. An estimate of the future state without action. 3. An estimate of the future state with action. Establishment of the initial reference state. An assessment of environmental change presupposes knowledge about the present state. It will be necessary, therefore, to select attributes that may be used to estimate this state. Some of these will be directly measurable. Others will only be capable of being recorded within a series of defined categories, or ranked in ascending or descending order of approximate magnitude. Difficult decisions need to be made about the population, that is, in a statistical sense, which is to be represented by the measured variables, and the extent to which the subdivision of this population into geographical regions, ecosystems, etc., is either feasible or necessary. In fact, it must be emphasized that the establishment of an initial reference state is difficult because not only are environmental systems dynamic, but also they contain cyclical and random components. Predicting the future state in the absence of action, in order to provide a fair basis for examining the impact of human activities on the environment, ESE must estimate the future environmental states in the absence of action. As an example, the population of a species of animal or fish may already be declining due to overgrazing or overfishing, even before a smelter is built. This part of analysis is largely a scientific problem, requiring skills drawn from many disciplines. The prediction will often be uncertain, but the degree of uncertainty should be indicated at least in qualitative terms. For example, forecasting of droughts 2 or 3 years in advance is not yet possible, although the statistical probability that a drought of a given severity will occur sometime in the next 100 years can be estimated with some confidence. The decision maker should be aware of the degree of uncertainty which surrounds the predicted state of the environment, and have some understanding of the methods by which this uncertainty is calculated. Predicting the future state in the presence of action. For each of the proposed actions, and for admissible combinations of these actions, there will be an expected state of the environment, which is to be compared with the expected state in the absence of action. Consequently, predictions similar to those outlined above must be derived for each of the proposed alternatives. Table below presents the main areas of concern that may affect human beings with regard to forecasting the environmental state in the presence of actions. Areas of human concern. Areas of human concern impact. Categories: economic and occupational status, displacement of population, relocation of population in response to employment, opportunities, services and distribution patterns, property values, social pattern or lifestyle resettlement, rural depopulation, change in population density, food, housing, material, agricultural, rural, urban, social amenities and relationships, family lifestyles, schools, transportation, community, feelings, participation versus alienation, recreation, language. Psychological features: involvement, expectations, stress, frustration, commitment. Physical amenities: intellectual, cultural, aesthetic and sensual. National parks, wildlife, art, galleries, archaeological. Monuments, wilderness, clean air and water. Health changes in health, medical services, medical standards. Personal security: freedom from molestation, freedom from natural disasters, regional and traditional beliefs, symbols, taboos, values, technology. security, hazards, safety, measures, benefits, emission of wastes, congestion, density, cultural leisure, new values, heritage, traditional and religious rights, political authority, level and degree of involvement, priorities, structure of decision-making, responsibility and responsiveness, resource, allocation, local and minority, interests, defense needs, legal restructuring of, administrative management, changes in taxes, public policy, aesthetic visual physical changes, moral conduct, sentimental values, statutory laws and acts, air and water quality, standards, safety standards, national building acts, noise abatement bylaws. Note that the nature of impact listed in table is likely to vary from place to place and from time to time, and there will be overlaps between classes. For example, health depends in part on economic and occupational status. In this section, we explained the anthropogenic effect and their impacts in terms of environmental preservation. However, a specific parameter is necessary to provide a measure of the significance of an effect. So far, we dealt with ESE, which is an indispensable tool for environmental engineers and managers alike. Now, let us introduce you to a new concept called strategic environmental assessment, which covers policies, plans and programs at critical stages of development.